way or not even a meaningful way. Just passing them in the street.
Right. That's,
you know?
Yeah. We actually, we know somebody, we grew up with somebody who recently on Facebook talked about contracting it. I won't say her last name, but her first name's Karen.
And what did she say?
She contracted the virus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she works in the healthcare field, and that's how she got it. That's what she said. There's a whole controversy thing about it. I talked about. I sent her a message because I want her to come on the show and explain her side of the story because she got verbally attacked by somebody. So that brings to your point the social distancing thing. Like, people are starting to call other people irresponsible for not wearing masks and gloves and traveling and shit. And I think personally this whole thing's been blown way the fuck out of proportion. Kevin Farizzi was on the show and he commented that the reaction that we all have may be overblown, but it's better than underdoing it, I guess. And that was his opinion. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think we should give them somewhat of what they're asking for. You know, as far as a couple weeks, even this month. You know, as much as I hate it and as much as I want to fight it and am fighting it, you know, the way they put it out there, you almost have to, and just, you gotta distance, you gotta be vigilant, and, you know, it's just the control that they exert over you and how they keep tightening the screws. That's something that's just like, it's painful, you know? It's painful emotionally, and it's painful physically.
Okay. I completely agree with you, man. Let's go on to the next topic, which is cannabis. Alrighty, here we go. Because this is the One Stone Dude podcast, which, right before I start this questioning, I'm going to take a bong rip real quick. So give me a second.
Good for you, man. Enjoy that. I'm going to have a sip of water.
Alright. Got a little bit of the bong water in my mouth, but I'm alright with it. Alright. Do you or have you ever ingested cannabis?
Yes, I'm a medical card holder.
Okay. So you endorse it for medical reasons, obviously. Do you believe it to have a positive or negative effect on people's minds?
I think it can do both.
You want to explain that?
Well, if you're already in a mind state that is unhealthy, I think that adding substances to an unhealthy mind state can be a little bit of a recipe for disaster. Even a substance like cannabis, something that I really believe in and endorse. You know, I think that mind state's a big thing. So if you're already a depressed person, if you're already having thoughts that are super, super negative, you know, slamming some weed on top of that, taking bong rips might not be the best thing. If you're in a, you know, calm, peaceful state already, and then you add cannabis to that, then it's like next level consciousness. It like takes you way up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there's good and there's bad, and I think, you know, dosage is very, very key.
Right.
You know.
Once again, you're right, brother.
Where you gotta be lower dosing. You know, I see some of the things that go on with some of the younger people with, you know, the crazy dads and you know, all this stuff. It's like, that's high dosing, man. You gotta be careful with stuff like that. But at lower doses, I think it's amazing. I think it's a consciousness expander. I think it can help a lot of people and heal a lot of people. And I think that it should be way, way more socially, culturally accepted. Way more. And I think we'd have a lot better world.
Yeah, I asked Kevin that the other day. I'll ask you the same question. If marijuana use became socially acceptable throughout the world, what do you think would happen?
It'd be a lot more peaceful place. It'd be a lot more of a sensitive place. You know, not in a bad way, not in a soft way.
Right.
But in a conscious way. And that's what this world certainly needs. That's what this country certainly needs. You know, everybody needs healing. And it really can be used to heal, especially the mind.
Right.
You know, the CBD effects on the body are very healing as well. But I just think it's key, man. And I think that the way more peaceful place, and people would care more about each other and be kinder to each other if marijuana was the culture, especially as opposed to alcohol. It's not like you have a neutral culture. You have a supreme alcohol culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's the complete other end of the spectrum, where if it was slanted to the marijuana culture, you'd have a more peaceful culture. No, you're going all the way to the other end of the spectrum, alcohol culture, which is, you know what that is, debauchery.
Right.
I mean, people going crazy, people fighting in the street, pissing their pants. I was, in my day, one of the worst drinkers there was. I was horrible. So, I'm an advocate, man. I think that it would behoove us to get a lot more kind and nicer to each other.
I want to quote Joe Rogan, and I want to see if you agree with this statement. Marijuana you can get so high that you might cheat on your girlfriend, but you'll never get high enough to tell her.
Rogan said that?
Yeah, Joe Rogan did on one of his stand-ups.
Oh, one of his stand-ups. You know what's funny is I listen to every single Rogan podcast, but I've never seen him do stand-up once. Isn't that wild?
That you definitely got to watch his stand-up. Did you catch the? Oh, you know what? I'm just going to ask you this now. What are your thoughts on Vinny Paz?
I like Vinny Paz. If you want to transition to music a little bit, I'm in South Philly. That's a place where I believe Vinny Paz is at as well. Mm-hmm. South Philly. So. He's dope, man. I heard his new album. It's dope. I like it. I've always liked him. I always loved Jedi Mind Tricks, and he kept on, which is tough.
Yeah, he talked about having to cut certain people off, people that he was in the hip hop game with, and that was kind of sad to hear. But he had a great interview with Joe Rogan. I don't know if you've heard that one yet, but if you haven't, check that one out because it's pretty dope.
Oh yeah.
Let me get into you a little bit. You seem to have your third eye open. Is this influenced by anything, or it's just something that you have internally done on your own?
It's something that's internally done on my own.
All right, can you explain how you ended up?
Well, it was just something that was very necessary for me because what I had to do was get my mental health in check and under control in a big, big way. So I had to find out how to do that, and one of the ways I did that is through, basically over top, the way I did that is mindfulness. 100%. That's the complete key to my entire life is mindfulness. But I broke that down, and I achieved that in different ways, and getting into the mental health as far as just researching, reading about it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And finding out the mechanisms that make it work to where I could really deconstruct it and then look at myself and figure out what was going on, because my life was spiraling way out of control. This is a while ago at this point, over 10 years, but I had to figure out what was going on mentally because I couldn't handle anything. Everything was going wrong. The bottom was constantly falling out of my life. And, I knew that there was only going to be one ending for that life. And so I had to start making some major changes. I had to turn things around. I had to do a 180. And I did that through a bunch of different ways. Music was one, exercise is two, diet is three, and mindfulness, meditation too. I meditate.
Nice. How many hours a day do you meditate, or week, or?
I meditate about a half hour at a time. So whether I do that, one time a week, 3 times a week, a bunch of days in a row, I pretty much do it almost as almost like praying when I need it, the most.
Right. I'm a meditator as well. What do you feel are the benefits to meditation and silence?
Calming. The calming of that brain that's just firing off like fireworks on 4th of July. That brain that's just moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute. you can really learn to control and slow that brain down. And there's a couple things you can do. Meditation is definitely one. Exercise is definitely another one, where it just, the more you do it, the more the brain calms down, period. It's like, it's a no-loss situation. It's only wins when you do those things because they're for brain health. I'm into supplementation, too. I love fish oil. I take a lot of fish oil. Fish oil is great for the brain.
Yeah, my girlfriend shoves that down my throat, too.
It's the best.
Right on, man.
You know, so I focus on it.
All right. So you are a hip-hop artist. You have videos on YouTube. How did you get your foot in the door as an artist?
Well, I moved to the city. I moved to South Philly over 10 years ago and just started making my way. Just started hitting the scene. You know, at that point, I didn't even know there really was any type of scene. I personally got on the live music scene out here in the city and, you know, just grabbing the mic wherever I could and, you know, going in.
Did you do a lot of open mics?
Tons of open mics, tons of, you know, empty shows, tons of really jam sessions. The way I got on really was through the jam sessions. And there was like, in Philly, there's like this robust jam session scene where it'd just be different nights at different venues where it's not as much an open mic where it's an open jam where all these different musicians just be coming in and getting on all the instruments and just going absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
I noticed the culture, the hip-hop culture of Philadelphia, the real hip-hop culture of Philadelphia, like when you get into the inner city of it, is there's a lot of instruments involved. It's not just a dude with a beat machine.
Well, here in Philly, the Roots, I think, had a big influence, but there's a difference between the hip-hop scene and the live music scene. The live music scene will have rappers on it, but it's not really necessarily hip-hop. And the hip-hop scene is going to be more along the traditional lines of MC, DJ, you know, pretty straightforward stuff like that, you know, and even like other stuff where the DJ won't be spinning the records and it's just files and it's but then the live music scene, you'll have a lot of rappers out there, and that's where it's like going crazy because the energy is completely different because it's a way higher level of musician. You have to bring your game to a much higher level just to even get a little foot in the door, if you want to call it that. It's not even really a foot in the door because these are all killers. You know what I mean? These guys are all, they tour with big names. They really, you know, the music scene in Philly is ridiculous. People don't even, I think it's almost like a hidden gem, the live music scene. All these guys come from the church and they all just are ridiculous, out playing jazz, you know, soul, funk, R&B, crazy stuff. And so that was the scene that I got on and started trying to make my way on because I loved rapping with the live instruments. I loved rapping with the band.
Right. Let's get on a question about your videos. I remember the first time I saw myself on YouTube, I was blown the fuck away by it when I was wrestling. And I was like, wow, somebody taped this, put this shit on an app like this. I can't believe this shit's awesome. What was your reaction to see yourself in a professional video, you know, singing your own, you know, using your own words and having the beat behind it and just the way it looked? Because I saw one of your videos and I was like, holy shit, this thing must have cost some money because it's just professionally done. My man looks diesel as shit, and it was live.
Well, I don't know, what was the question? How did I feel when I saw those videos?
Yeah.
I was kind of freaked out a little bit, man, you know? They were professional, and I give a lot of respect to the directors. One was the dude's name was Marksman 215 from Philly, and the second video was Glass Cannon, and he did an amazing job. And yeah, I was in pretty good shape for that video.
Nice. Nice.
You know, it was fun, man. You know, it was something that I loved, and like anything in my life, had a ton of passion for. And something that I've just slowed down on recently, but I play instruments, I play percussion, I play the drum kit, so music is just a passion of mine that I just have a hunger for that really